Do you guys know that TikTok audio that's like, I'm here to tell you that girl was speaking facts. Welcome to 18 Life Lessons I've Learned at 18, a series in which I'll be yapping to you about the most pivotal realizations I've had in my nearly 2 decades of life while cooking my favorite foods, all until the 18th of May, which will be my last day of being 18 years old.
There's a clip of Siyacela from Isengani Lengani saying, women are quoted through lies. That stunned me to my core. Honestly, 70% of the things Siyacela says on that show makes me low-key fear men, but that's a chat for another day. I know reality TV highlights extreme personalities that don't necessarily reflect real life, but still, it only reinforced my mom and dad's advice. Let promises, especially those from boys, be backed by consistent action before believing them wholeheartedly. I've learned that if a boy shells you, he doesn't actually like you. He probably just thinks you're pretty. And if a boy says he likes you, he probably doesn't like you enough. Let me illustrate. I like samosas. I think they're cute, delicious, and convenient, but I don't care enough to consistently use the time, effort, and love needed to make them. However, I love chocolate chip cookies. I talk about and prepare them often. I believe they're one of the most classic, iconic, and delicious sweet treats known to mankind. I love researching the best techniques and recipes, and I'm always willing to pay a premium for the highest quality ingredients. So I've learned that if a guy likes me like how I like samosas, I should pay him no mind. But if he loves me like how I love chocolate chip cookies, I could let myself be swayed. Until that happens, I like to focus on how my Father God in the heavens and his son Jesus Christ love me like how I love chocolate chip cookies. And honestly, that's what's most important. Can I get an amen?
Nobody's out to get me. I don't have secret ops, monitoring spirits, or enemies plotting on my downfall. And let me tell you a secret, you don't either.
A mix of overthinking and receiving bad advice while growing up made me think that the world was out to get me. If somebody wouldn't move out of my way when I'm walking on the streets, it's blatant disrespect. If somebody wouldn't greet me back, oh, they must hate me. But then I realized maybe they just didn't see me. Maybe they were lost in thought. Maybe it's just never that deep. I've come to understand that not everything happening around me is happening to me. I learned this lesson when a good friend of mine at the time made me the villain in her self-victimization story. I was at an event and left immediately after it ended, instead of my usual routine of greeting and chatting with everyone, because I was in a rush to go and help a family member move into a new house. My friend, who was at the event, festered on this clear act of unforgivable disrespect, me not greeting and chatting with her, for an entire 4 days before sending someone to call me and let me know how horrendously I had hurt her feelings. You can imagine how flabbergasted I was, because I had zero ill intention in leaving the event fast. In fact, I didn't think anyone noticed. I just needed to rush home to help my family. And yet, a decision was made to take that harmless action as a personal attack. After that situation, I understood how easy it is to demonize people who are literally minding their business. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 9 says, "Do not be quick to take offense, because the taking of offense lies in the bosom of fools." When I stopped being a fool and seeing myself as the main character in everyone else's story, I regained strength that was wasted in fighting imaginary battles and improved my relationship with others.
Hey, Wena, can you pull up your headband so that your natural hair is showing underneath your wig, and open your ears when I tell you that the best way to learn is through failure? I'm telling you this as somebody who just tried to make donuts and they look like this.
So basically, mistakes are just a faster and more humbling way of learning a lesson. Story time! 2 years ago, when I was first trying to eat more plant-based and balanced meals, I failed countless times because I'd only start cooking once I was already starving. And listen, when you're starving, you're not thinking about balance. So I'd end up grabbing whatever was near, and more often than not, it wasn't healthy. From failing in this way multiple times, I've learned that planning meals ahead and acting on my hunger cues quicker set me up for a healthier diet. Another example, recently at work, I've unknowingly disassembled a machine in the wrong order, leading to the sticky, flick liquid exploding on either the countertops, the floors, the storefront, my face, my body. I now know the mechanics of that machine like the back of my hand. All thanks to my 2 very messy mistakes prior. Most of the episodes in this series include lessons I've learned from failing in more serious situations in the past.
You see how scrumdiddly yum these Cook Sisters look? I only made them because I came to the grand realization in my 18th year of life that being skinny doesn't equal being healthy.
I've had close friends and family share how serious the physical and mental health consequences of chronic obesity can be, so I'm not unfamiliar with the risks. But recently, thanks to the internet and conversations with one of my friends who's naturally very slim, I've come to realize that being super skinny isn't always the flex I thought it was. I've noticed how someone who's underweight may get out of breath quickly during light exercise or struggle with lifting heavier things because they might be genuinely lacking muscle mass and stamina. Another thing that really surprised me is the concept of visceral fat, the type of fat deep within the body that wraps around organs and can pose serious health risks without being obviously bliss, and don't even get me started on fertility issues, hair loss, and brittle bones. If I've understood the internet correctly, all of that can come with an extremely low body fat percentage. This knowledge helped me realize that I shouldn't be putting skinny body types on a pedestal, because I could end up dealing with those health issues if I tried to achieve a skinny body type through dangerous methods. The scriptures on screen and the context behind them have really helped me adopt a balanced body image and view on nutrition. I do plan to share more fitness and wellness content, since it's a very big part of my personal offline life, and I'm going to try my very best to maintain this balanced view on the matter. Basing my whole entire personality on my passions felt fun, until I stopped loving them as much and had a mini identity crisis this year that I didn't see coming. From ages 11 to 15, I was known for reading a lot and collecting books. If you scroll down on my Instagram or YouTube, you'll see that I briefly made it my entire online personality. Then came my Afro phase in 2020, where I only followed natural hair content creators and was trying a new DIY mask every week. Then came my K-pop phase, when I had a tight grasp on everything to do with Stray Kids and all my favorite idols. But when I stopped reading as much, when I twisted my hair away for weeks at a time, and when I would forget to listen to the latest Stray Kids album, I felt lost because I defined myself by those passions. Now, at the ripe age of 18, I'm learning not to center my entire self around just one interest. Not my love for baking, even though it's been the most consistent. Like, I've been baking since I was 4. Not my love for working out, not my love for wearing white dresses. I'm trying really hard to view those things as parts of me, not the whole of me. And don't get me wrong, having a niche is great, especially in the realm of content creation. But in my offline life, I don't want to box myself in and feel guilty for evolving in the future like I have already. Who knows, maybe in the next 5 years, I'll disagree with all the life lessons I'm sharing on this series. But that's okay, because people change. So instead of asking what's my thing, I'm learning to ask what feels right for me right now. An hour ago, I was sobbing. I've had a really rough day, and when I came back from work, all I wanted to do was sleep. But I didn't, because I set a goal to finish editing this video by today, and that is a prime example of why discipline is more important than motivation. Back in December, I planned this series with so much excitement. The vigor that past winter had to make this dream come true is my why. The why that fuels my discipline. The why that stopped me from curling up in the blankets an hour ago. Motivation is cute and all, but it can be a fleeting feeling dependent on circumstances. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady and something I've found to be the key in achieving my goals. When Jesus was telling his disciples what was going to happen to him on Nisan 14, Matthew 16 verse 22 says that Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Be kind to yourself, Lord." Jesus rebuked him back and then proceeded to save us all, setting an example for us to follow. But if he had taken Peter's advice to be kind to himself, you and me and humanity as an entirety would have been absolutely cooked. My brain echoes Peter's bad advice all the time, and as an imperfect human, I listen to that mini Peter in my head quite a lot. But in my 18th year of life, I'm trying so hard to develop a voice of discipline in my brain that'll be louder than the voice telling me to be kind to myself in ways that will lead to long-lasting and painful consequences. Now, don't get me wrong, rest matters. Jesus told us in Mark 12 verse 31 that we should love our neighbor as ourselves, which would then denote that we should obviously love ourselves. And one way to do that is through resting, because burnout is a painful experience no one should have to put themselves through. However, too much rest becomes neglect, and my dreams for my future deserve an incredible amount of effort that'll only come if I learn to discipline myself.
I feel like you guys need to tell me if this is a coincidence. Today is World Baking Day, Angithi. And 19 years ago, on this day, I came out of my mother's womb. And I think it's really funny that ever since that day 19 years ago, I've grown up to be a wonderful baker. Fun fact about me, I love lemon poppy seed. And I used to think for the past 7 years that Harry and Meghan Markle had a lemon and poppy seed cake for their wedding, which is on the 19th of May. Their anniversary is tomorrow. So in my head, I'm like, ooh, Meghan Markle and I are twinning with our favorite cake flavors. Khanti, theirs was lemon and elderflower. And I only realized that this morning. For the past 7 years, I thought we shared the same favorite cake flavor. Guys, I should have domed this thing, because you see the amount of space here. If I don't think but I've just exposed myself that this layer is thicker than this one. But it's okay. Equality is not frequent in this life. Now I'm just making my favorite cake to make my favorite cake. Not because it's also Harry and Meghan's wedding cake and their wedding anniversary is tomorrow. In other news, you all know I've been doing an 18 life lessons I've learned at 18 series. And I said I was going to post every day until the 18th. But I've had a week from hell. I've sobbed so many tears in the past 5 days that I genuinely feel like there's no more moisture in my eyes. So that's why there's been no videos. But instead of giving up on the series completely, the lovely Gulisa suggested that I just put multiple life lessons into one video. If it wasn't for her, this video wouldn't exist right now. So everybody go and comment, thank you, Lisa. Using this as a piping bag because my current piping bag is busted up. And unless otlong rekela piping bag in chakobelung skang jajane. And yeah, it looks dumb until it works. So I'm gonna list to you 5 rapid fire life lessons that I've learned in all 18 of my years of life. Number 1.
Black people need to wear sunscreen. I used to think melanin was enough protection. Spoiler, it's not. I've been low-key roasting my skin with reckless disregard for years, and now I don't skip SPF, even on the cloudy days. Number 2. Pushing through an issue won't fix it. For example, I'm severely lactose intolerant, but for some reason, I thought eating more dairy would quote-unquote train my stomach. All it trained me for was to fight for my life on the toilet with an atrocious case of the bubble guts. Cutting most dairy outs changed my life. Number 3. Black people need to trim their ends. Split ends won't magically disappear just because you have an afro. I thought trimming meant losing length, but it means length retention. It's made my hair feel stronger and cuts my detangling time in half. Number 4. Getting good at things takes time. I was in tennis classes for 3 years before I played my first real match and won. I flexibility trained for 2 years before I ever hit my side split. Progress doesn't happen overnight, and often I wasn't even aware of how close I was to my goals because, rightfully so, I was just focused on the journey. Number 5. Love is natural, but showing love is a daily choice. Friendships do not maintain themselves. You have to check in, plan dates, and make people feel seen. I started applying 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4 to 8 and realized love is patient, yes, but it's also intentional. It requires effort.
I want you to repeat after me. If they do it with you, they will do it to you. Now, what in the world does that mean?
If she gossips to you about everyone else, one day it'll be your name in her mouth. If he cheated with you, he will cheat on you. If she laughs at everyone else's pain, don't expect her to hold your heart with care. You're not the exception to your loved one's behavior. Working in the service industry for the past 4 years of my life is the reason I ever came to think about this topic. When a customer has verbally abused me or any other members of staff in the restaurant, cafe, or shop that I've worked at, 9 times out of 10 it was a man. And that man is usually traveling with a woman, be it his wife, girlfriend, daughter, or mother. And while witnessing this beratement, she's usually quiet, avoiding eye contact and apologizing profusely after he storms off. Almost every time, the apology is followed by some iteration of, "I'm sorry, he's like that all the time." My feelings of offense will usually dissolve into pity in knowing that how this person treats strangers in powerless positions like me is how they treat their loved ones behind closed doors. Same with friends. You're not the one who will change someone's bad behavior. You're just putting yourself next in line to be victimized by it.
So this is a dessert called tres leches. It's a super sweet cake soaked with evaporated, condensed, and whole milk, and topped with whipped cream to finish it all off. I can't necessarily eat it because I detest the taste of cow's milk, and I'm lactose intolerant. But I'm still sharing the recipe because that has nothing to do with you. By virtue of being my follower, you don't inherit my lactose intolerance. And by virtue of being my family or friend, you don't inherit the drama that I have with other people. And I shouldn't be expected to either.
3 reasons why I think inheriting other people's beef is stupid. There's an insecure and envious man called Korah in the Bible. He had beef with a man called Moses because him and his brother were chosen by God to be leaders of the Israelites. But Korah said that they had gone too far and publicly accused them of pridefully exalting themselves above everyone else. Now, Korah's very own sons did not agree with their father's opinions and chose not to inherit that. That choice saved their lives in the end. You can read that entire account in Numbers chapter 6, or if you're more of a visual learner like me, there's a movie called Respect Jehovah's Authority on jw.org. Number 2, Josiah is one of my favorite Bible characters who is known for being good, faithful, and a courageous king. But one day he wanted to fight in a war that wasn't his, even after being told by the opposing side. What does this have to do with you, O King of Judah? I am not coming against you today, but my fight is against another house. But in 2 Chronicles 35 verse 22, we see how Josiah insisted on inheriting this beef and then died because of it. Number 3, I have a friend named Bohlale. Unbeknownst to me, Bohlale was warned by people who don't like me that I'm a terrible person to associate with and that it would be best to stay far, far away from me. And yet, being an independent thinker and an absolute girl boss, she made plans to go on a one-on-one boba date with me to get to know me herself. And now, 2 years later, she's one of my closest friends. If Korah's sons had inherited their father's beef, they would have died alongside him. If Josiah had stayed out of King Necho's war, he would have lived longer. And if Hlale had inherited other people's beef with me, we wouldn't have had the beautiful friendship we enjoy today. Loyalty is a beautiful trait, and I justifiably feel protective and angry when someone hurts the people I care about. My friends know this very well, but not everyone who offends my friends is my enemy. And there's wisdom in knowing when to think for yourself, because not every battle is yours to fight.
Do y'all remember that time that I failed making donuts? That one failure is proof that all the baking knowledge I've acquired over the past 18 years has gone to dust, right? It means that my dreams of becoming a professional pastry chef in the future are down the drain, right? It means that any baked good that I touch for the foreseeable future is cursed by the mere fact that I'm a horrible baker, right? Wrong!
When I first started tracking my macros and trying to eat more plant-based, the second I slipped up, I'd spiral, binging on random foods for the rest of the week thinking, well, I failed already, so what's the point? And it wasn't just food. If I'd missed a single workout session, I'd throw out the entire plan for the week, reasoning that the rest of the workout plan plan will be unbalanced because of one missed workout. This all or nothing mentality made me feel like I had to be perfect, and if I wasn't, then all my efforts prior were useless. And in my 18th year of life, I realized that that isn't true. Now, don't get me wrong, there are areas in life where all or nothing is the only healthy option. In marriage, for example, you vow to give all your romantic attention to your partner and nothing to anyone else. In your faith, you can't serve two masters. Boundaries matter. Commitment matters. But in growth, habits, and healing, balance is key, and progress is not validated by perfection. I will mess up. I'll fall off. I'll overeat. I'll miss a workout. I'll miss 7 days of posting, even though I promised y'all daily content at the beginning of May. And yet that doesn't mean I'll have to start from zero. It just means I'm going to have to stand back up and keep going, but wiser this time. Proverbs 24 verse 16 says, "For the righteous one may fall 7 times, and he will get up again."
Okay, lock in. I have a game I want us to play. Spot the similarities between these 3 Instagram posts. Do you have your answer? It's wrong. The correct answer is that I was an emotional wreck in all 3 of these pictures. But you wouldn't be able to tell that, would you?
And that's the thing. If someone had compared their life to mine in those moments, they'd assume that I was thriving, but the truth is I was barely holding it together. I know plenty of gorgeous women who are going through literal chaos behind the scenes while maintaining the most consistent and aesthetic IG feeds known to mankind. Not because they're being fake, but because sharing fun posts gives them a break from the stress. It's a form of soft escape, not deception. So when I compare myself to someone's feed, I'm comparing my entire life to a single moment in theirs, and that's just downright stupid. But in my 18th year of life, I've learned that what will take me far isn't a perfect image, not a flawless feed, but authenticity. Growing up, I was often told I talk too much, but that same talkative nature is what made me start a YouTube channel, which then caught the attention of a casting director, which then landed me the lead role in a teen sitcom. And that same talkative trait helped me thrive in all 3 of my past retail jobs, because I knew how to connect with people by just being myself. Others may see me as a chatterbox, but that casting director saw me as full of life. Someone might call you immature, and another sees you as lighthearted. People used to see my best friend Chrissy as too quiet and introverted, and yet I know her to be a fantastic listener, a deep thinker, and a wonderful friend. Someone might say you're too much, but to the right people, you'll be just right. You shouldn't change your authentic personality lest you miss out on opportunities and friendships in which your vibe is exactly what was needed.
I heard that you're a teenager looking for a service job to earn some zaganyana on the side. Love that for you. In the words of George Washington on Right Hand Man,
"It's all right. You want to fight. You've got a hunger. I was just like you when I was younger."
now before you run to Postnet to go print your CV, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. You need to do a bit of reading. A lot of reading. The law.
Do you know what the BCEA is? Personally, I only found out in January this year. It stands for the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Your protection against exploitation, especially when you're a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed teenager just trying to make some pocket money like me. With 3 service jobs under my belt, and my current one being the first one where I've ever had a real contract, I know how many teens are out here doing the most. Hectic shifts, no breaks, no contract, and zero clue that they've got rights. Like, babes, if you're under 18, there are certain jobs you're straight up not allowed to do. Things like operating heavy machinery, working overnight shifts, or dealing with toxic substances. Substances, guys, why can't I say that word? Substance, yes. Or dealing with toxic substances. And yes, you guessed it, that includes alcohol. Story time! So one day, a group of stunning black women in their late 20s came in for brunch at the restaurant I worked at. At some point, the barman asked me to take shots to their table, and I did, no questions asked. I walked up to them with my 2 Afro puff pom-poms and my best customer service smile. One of them asked how old I was. I said, I'm 15. She looked down at her shot, then looked back at me and said, you know this is illegal, right? I was like, girl, what? She goes, it's illegal for minors to serve alcohol. Your manager can get into serious trouble. All I said was, yo, laughed politely, then sprinted to the back of the restaurant to Google if she was right. I wish I had known more about my rights back then. I wouldn't be out there working wedding receptions from 5 p.m. to midnight, getting high-fived by drunk uncles and hugged by sweaty, stinky strangers. And despite what your manager says, following labor laws isn't weakening the team or being lazy. Asking for a written contract isn't being difficult. Asking to be paid the correct amount in a timely manner isn't being greedy. But Mamela, I'm not saying go to work and cause beef. I'm just saying skabastla like I was.
Wait, guys, please tell me you know that meme of that African gospel song.
Remember, the Lord is watching you.
I've only seen it in relation to a situation where you're doing bad things in private, but I'm going to tell you while showing you how I made these cinnamon rolls, how in my 18th year of life I've realized the Lord is watching you when you do good too.
Okay, before I start yapping, scroll back and watch episode 17 where I share advice on how to avoid, spot, and resolve workplace mistreatment. It's part of my 18 life lesson series because guys, I've dealt with my fair share of petty toxicity at my old job. And guys, let me be so real with you, it's really tempting to match the energy of a disrespectful employer. But remembering that Jehovah wanted me to reflect his qualities and not theirs changed everything. It made the job bearable, enjoyable even. The scripture that anchored me was Ephesians 6 verse 5 to 8. It says, Slaves, be obedient to your human masters, not only when being watched, just to please men, but as Christ's slaves, doing the will of God whole soul. Slave with a good attitude, as to Jehovah and not to men. For you know that whatever good each one does, he will receive this back from Jehovah. Remember that Jehovah sees when you show up on time, even though you haven't been paid for the last month. He sees when you hold your tongue in conversation with your manager when the easiest thing would have been to clap back. He sees when you work hard, not for recognition, but because you want to make him smile. So vele, like I said at the beginning of this video, remember the Lord is watching you. But not to catch you slipping, to catch you being faithful, to reward you for keeping the peace and to strengthen you when nobody claps for your integrity. Lesson 18, the final and most impactful lesson of my series, is that Jehovah is paying keen attention to you when you're making an effort to do what's right. So long, fare thee well, pip pip cheerio. I will see you in my next video.
Mwah!